So did you said today we have two quizzes or not?
Yes, we will have two quizzes. First
Okay.
quiz will be about the direct shear, and the second quiz will be about today's lab session. So both of the quizzes will be individual. So first I'm going to assign you previous week quiz and followed by the second quiz. Okay, guys?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the recording has been started and I'm going to share my screen. So guys, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm going to play the video, and if you have questions, you can ask at the end of the video. So uh, our today's lab session will be about the shear strength parameters determination. So I am going to play two videos again today. The first one will be for the unconfined compression test, and the second one will be about the vane shear test. So both of these two tests are basically again for the considered as the field testings because they are relatively very simpler to perform, and they are only applicable for the cohesive soils. So in this case, the water content plays an important role over here. So again, you are going to write a single report, but with the two different titles. Okay, at the end of the session, I'm going to explain how you are going to write the reports. So let me play the first video, which is about the unconfined compression test. For this experiment, autographic unconfined compression test apparatus, autograph panel, vernier calipers, and balance is required. Record the dimensions of the specimen by measuring the diameter and height. Record the mass of the specimen. Place the sample in between flat metal plates. Place the test chart in the panel with correct alignment. Apply the axial force to the specimen by rotating the handle at a steady rate. The axial force is applied till the specimen fails. After achieving the maximum point, continue the test until plastic failure occurs. Remove the chart from the panel. Mark the maximum spring extension on the autograph plot. Then sketch the parallel line corresponding to the graduated printed spring extension curve. From sketched plot, determine the maximum spring extension and sketch the vertical line corresponding to the maximum spring extension. The shape of the test specimen is shown in this figure. Place the sample in 100 degrees Celsius oven for 24 hours, and after 24 hours, record the mass of the specimen and determine the moisture. So guys, at the end it was a bit trimmed off, so at the end we just determined the moisture content. So here I'm going to highlight some of the important features of this test. So for example, as you can see that this is the overall setup. We place the sample in between the flat metal plates. And what happens is that at the top of the apparatus, there is a handle and we start to rotate at a steady rate. It should not be that fast or it should not be very slow. At a steady rate, so that the sample is deformed uniformly. Okay, guys. So now how the specimen is, how the load is applied. Or for example, in other words, how the handle is rotated. So basically what is happening that when you are applying the load, the spring is extending. So as the spring is extending, what is basically happening is that so due to that extension, the sample is deforming under these conditions. So basically it is extending the bottom frame, and due to that the sample is failing. So, and another point is that how to read this chart. So for example, as you are applying the load, for example, what is happening that gradually it it reaches to the maximum spring extension point where the maximum deformation and the spring extension has been occurred. So now, for example, what happens after this point is that the failure is sudden. So for example, after that, if you see that the failure is occurring, okay, so it means that at this point the sample has already been deformed. So which you have already seen the deformed shape of the specimen. So what you are going to do over here is that, for example, this curve is already obtained from the test. Now how to read that curve? So first of all, what you are going to do, first of all, you have to mark the maximum spring extension, and it is described over here. So this point at the top, at the maximum point of this curve, you can consider that as a maximum spring extension. So what you are going to do from there is that you are going to sketch a parallel line, which, for example, whatever the nearest calibrated or graduated lines are available on the chart. So for example, in this case, by the manufacturer, this chart is given, and the maximum, and the nearest curve is 50 millimeters. So what you are going to do over there is that sketch a parallel line to that line, 50 millimeter, and see where it is intersecting. Okay, so this intersection is very important because, for example, from the curve we can easily see what is the deformation of the sample, but what is the spring extension? That is the main question over here. So as you can see over here, after sketching the parallel line, what you can do, you can simply, for example, divide the chart into equivalent, or by scaling the vertical axis. So for here, the spring extension is 45 millimeter, and you can plot a vertical line and see what is the deformation by scaling the chart itself. So these are the two important parameters you need to, for example, obtain from this experiment. And another important thing is that why we were measuring the length and the area of the specimen, because and the diameter of the specimen, because the density of the specimen plays an important role in this case. So from there you can obtain the shear strength parameter, which I'm going to discuss with you detailed how to calculate the undrained cohesion. So as you guys observe that this is only applicable for the cohesive soils, and we will only be able to obtain the undrained cohesion as a shear strength parameter. Another thing is that if you have observed that in this case only the vertical force is applied, which means that only vertical stresses will be calculated. As you can see that there is no all-round pressure, there is no horizontal stresses, only vertical stresses are being applied to the specimen. So you have, this is another important point over here. So any other questions? So this is the
sir, where was the spring deformation?
So spring deformation, as I have explained, that while you are rotating the handle at top of the apparatus, first it achieves the maximum and it starts to failing. So that is basically the ultimate point we have obtained. Now what you are going to do, you are going to sketch a parallel line to the nearest available line, which is 50 millimeter over here. And for example, wherever that parallel line intersects, it means that that line is the corresponding spring extension over here after scaling the chart. So that will be your spring extension, and the deformation of the specimen, which will be the delta H, is the vertical line over here, which is again by scaling the chart you can obtain. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Don't worry, this is how you are going to obtain these values, and we are going to give you these values in the data sheet. Okay, so let us come to the second second video. Which will be about the Wayne shear test.
For this experiment, Wayne shear test apparatus and a cylindrical mold with soil in place is required. The description of apparatus is as follows: Wayne blade, torque spring, graduated circular scale, and crank. Place the soil on the base of the apparatus. Lower the Wayne shear blades with the crank. The blades are lowered until it is fully embedded in the soil. Apply the torque to the vane by rotating the torsion head until the soil is sheared. Record the angle of rotation of vane at the instant of failure. The failure occurs when the pointer separates from the carrier knob. The torque applied is obtained from calibration curve corresponding to the angle of rotation. Based on the spring constant, spring number 1 is used for this experiment. From the angle of rotation observed, sketch the vertical line and read the intersection point corresponding to spring 1.
So it's all again a relatively very simple test to perform, and as you observed, it is very easy, simpler. So as I told you, these are the equivalent tests for the field testings to obtain the quick undrained shear strength parameter, which is the CU. Now, important points in this test is that, for example, this is the rotational handle. So at the top of the apparatus or equipment, this handle basically is for the lowering of the shearing blades, whereas the other handle is basically for applying the torque to the specimen. So this sample, as you can see over here, either, for example, you can compact your specimen, and another aspect, what you can do, you can simply use the core cutter test, because as you know that in the core cutter test we obtain the field samples. So basically you can do the same thing. So it is ideal to, for example, either it is ideal to go to the site and perform the core cutter test and see what is the undrained shear strength parameter of the obtained soil. Now, for example, over here, yes, another important point over here is that, for example, as you can see, there are some blades. So there are in total 4 blades which are equal in size and they are very thin. So this is important thing, that they should be equal in the dimensions. So there are 4 blades which are basically connected or welded to the center rod. So they are equal in size and they are thin. So what is happening over here is that, for example, as you are rotating the handle, the soil is resisting that torque. So for example, until it fails. So how do we determine that when the soil is failing? So for example, as you can see here, this handle is rotating the blades. So these rotations should be 2 revolutions per second. Okay. Now, for example, when to stop the test, as you can see in this figure over here, that when this pointer separates from the carrier knob, okay, which is connected to the spring over here. So what happens is that when this pointer separates from the carrier knob, here as you can see that from here what you can do, you have to read this top scale over here. If you can see the pointer, this is the scale from where you have to read it, where it separates from the carrier knob. So as you can see here, it's the specimen has failed at 8 angles of rotation. Okay, so this is basically you are giving, it is giving you the angle of rotation. So from the equipment we are obtaining what is the angle of rotation of the vane shear blades. Now from here what you are going to do, this is an important chart over here. I will give you this chart and you are going to obtain the torque. So as I have mentioned in the video that in this experiment we used spring number 1. So as you can see that in the experiment we observed that the angle of rotations were approximately 9 degrees. So what you are going to do, as I have mentioned that it is spring number 1 we used in the lab session. So you are going to sketch a vertical line, and when it intersects with the spring 1 calibration curve, that point on the y-axis will give you the torque in newtons and millimeter, Newton millimeter. Okay, so here it is 31 Newton millimeter. Okay guys, so important point is that maybe in the data set I might give you different springs, and based on those springs I will give you what is the angle of rotation we obtained in the lab. Okay, so as again I am going to mention that here is the spring 1 we used in this video. So I am going to sketch a vertical line. Okay guys, and then where the vertical line intersects with the calibration line of the spring 1, then that will be your torque value. Is it okay guys? Understood?
Understood.
Okay, so this is how you are going to obtain the torque value from the angle of rotation. So this angle of rotation is obtained from the apparatus, this top scale. Okay guys, so that is all from this experiment. So I'm going to explain you the calculation part now. So guys, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So guys, in this lab session, for example, let us first.
Can see, Doctor. Yeah, now I see it.
What, my screen is not available?
No, we can see it.
No, it's clear. We can see it.
Okay.
It's clear, sir.
Okay. So now, for example, let us first discuss how to do calculations for the unconfined compression test, then for the vane shear test, and at the end for the unconfined compression test, you are required to draw the Mohr circle, and I'm going to show you how to plot the Mohr circle in the Excel. Now for the unconfined compression test, as you know, we
Doctor, we can't hear you.
There is no voice.
You're muted, sir.
So,
guys, what happened? You cannot see my screen.
It was muted. Yes, we can see.
Okay guys, so as I was explaining that we have our unconfined compression test. So the weight of the soil we measured. So the spring extension we measured from the chart. This value will be given as well. The deformation value of deformation of the specimen is also given from the chart as well. So these three values will be given to you. So you are going to calculate the bulk density and dry density. The diameter of the specimen is also given, and the initial height of the specimen is given as well. So you are required to obtain the bulk and dry densities, and you have to calculate the area of the specimen. So from here, as you know that as you are applying the force to the specimen, the soil was deforming, right? The sample was under deformation. So from there you need to calculate the axial strain, which is delta H over H naught. So delta H is basically the deformation of the specimen from the chart we obtained, and the H naught is the initial height of the specimen. Okay, guys. Now from here you are going to calculate the corrected area. So as you know that when you are applying the load, what is happening that the area is increasing. So as you know that in the direct shear box test, as the area was as the shear force was applying, the area was reducing in the direct shear box test. But here, in fact, because it is a vertical sample and the vertical force is being applied here, so the area is expanding. So that's why it is initial area divided by 1 minus the axial strain. So that is the important point over here. So initial area divided by 1 minus axial strain. Okay. Now the extension constant of the spring, it will be given to you because, for example, every spring we use, it has a coefficient. So that coefficient will be given to you over here. So I'm going to mark you some points over here which will be given. So this point is given, initial diameter is given. So the initial specimen height will be given to you. So you are required to calculate, and of course the water content, as you know that the bulk density and dry density of the specimen plays an important role. So these are the things you are going to mention in your discussion part. So here from here you are going to calculate the dry density. So you are quite familiar how to obtain the dry density. The extension will be given to you as well. Now, how to obtain the applied load? So from here, so this 8 is basically what? Extension constant of the spring. Okay, guys, so let's say that the spring extension constant is fixed. So this is we used in our lab. So this value will be fixed. So you can say that the applied load, which is P, is equals to the spring extension, which we obtained from the curve, multiplied by the extension constant of the spring, okay, or spring coefficient. So here we have obtained the applied load. So simply you can obtain the unconfined compressive strength, which is QU. So how you can obtain that? So applied load divided by the area corrected. So in order to determine the shear strength parameter, which is the undrained cohesion, you simply divide the unconfined compressive strength, which is QU, divided by 2. So half of the QU is the undrained cohesion. So you have to be consistent with your units. So these are the units, for example, I'm required. So at the end you need kilopascals. So why do you need kilopascal? Because, for example, you have to discuss the consistency of your soil type. So for example, if your CU value is 25, so from this chart 25 kilopascal, so from this chart you can mention that your soil type is soft clay. So this is if it is less than 20, it is very soft clay. If it is in between 20 and 40, it is soft clay, then firm clay, firm to stiff clay, or very hard or very stiff clay. So these are the typical ranges for the undrained cohesion value in order to classify the consistency of the soil type. Is it okay, guys? Understood? Are you guys there?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. So let us move further for the Wayne shear test. Very simple calculations. So here, for example, angle of rotation will be given to you because, for example, this is the one we read from the apparatus. So as you know that you will obtain the torque value from the calibration chart. Okay, guys. So it is rather simple. So let me give you a simple example that how you are going to obtain this. So for example, this is the calibration chart. So let's say that x and y axis, and let us put some theoretical values. Let me go step by step. So first what you need to do, you need to go to insert and go to scatter plot. So x-axis will be the angle of rotation and y-axis will be the torque value. So this is, let's say that we are going to measure for 25. So it is just, so the torque value is theoretical. Okay, like just I put some number right now, but we are going to calculate what it is going to be. So let's say this is for spring 1 we are doing. Now, for example, how you are going to obtain it? So what you can do, first of all, set your x-axis in corresponding to the given calibration chart. So I am going to click on the x-axis and see what is the minimum. Minimum is 0, maximum is 200 degrees. So similarly, for y-axis, I am going to double click on the y-axis. The minimum value is 0, the maximum value is 350. Okay. So I'm going to remove these grid lines chart title. Now simply what I'm going to do is that you can crop this chart to the tick marks and to the plot area, crop it and simply copy it and copy. And what you are next, what you are going to do, double click on the chart area and go to the fill. Okay. Shall I explain this again?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay, guys. So this chart, as I told you, is given to you. Okay, guys. So let's say that the x-axis is angle of rotation and we need torque value. Okay, so let us say that initially the torque value, we don't know any torque value because this is what we are going to find. So go to the insert, select the scatter option, insert scatter option, then select the data. So for example, let's say we are using spring 1 and the x-axis is the angle of rotation, y-axis is the torque value, and click OK. And now after that, what you're going to do, because for example, I am going to read it from the curve, because for example, you don't have the formulas or calibration points to plot this. So what you are going to do, it is very simple. First, set your x-axis. So let me say our x-axis is, because I want this working in the report from you. So angle of rotations is the x-axis, which is in degrees, and simply our y-axis is vertical axis is torque, which is T in Newton millimeter. So now what you are going to do, for example, as I told you, I need to copy paste this chart into my plotting area. So first of all, as you see, what are the limits of the axis? So the limit of the axis in x-axis is from 0 to 200. So double click on the x-axis and set the limits from 0 to 200. And the major units should be 20 as of the curve here, as of the calibration chart. And for y-axis, it is again, the minimum is 0 and the maximum is 350 with 50 major intervals. Okay, guys. So now I'm going to remove these grid lines and let us place tick marks. Similarly for the x-axis as well. Now I want this chart to be inside the plotting area. So let me highlight this plotting area. I want in this plotting area this chart. So how I am going to place this? So first, what you can do, you can simply crop this up from the top to the top grid lines, from the right to the right most grid lines, and from the left side you can go to the axis line, and similarly in the x-axis to the x-axis lines. So copy this. Okay, and now go to the plotting area, which is over here. So double click on it and say picture and clipboard. Okay, guys. So now how you can say that our axis is perfect with the y-axis and x-axis. So you see these major tick marks, those should be exactly on top of each other in both axes. As you can see that there is a slight lower as compared to the y-axis. So you can do this by going very precise. So this is the method you can obtain. So now, as I told you, this is spring 1 and angle of rotation is given to you. So similarly, you can check what can be the torque value. So let's say that it is 50. So 50 is not applicable. So as you know that this blue line is for the spring 1. So this is spring 1. So this is 25 is the angle of rotation given. So 50 is not intersecting. So let's say 90, almost close, 85. Yes. So the torque value is exactly 85. Okay. So similarly, you can write 85 over here. And the spring coefficient will be given to you. And what you can do, so for example, let's say that the spring coefficient is 0.000233 over millimeter cube. So you can simply, what you can do, you can multiply torque by spring coefficient, and this one will give you in megapascal. And you need to convert it into kilopascal. Why? Because of the chart typical values given over here. So guys, you understand how to obtain the torque from the curve?
Yes, sir.
Is it easy for you guys? I hope that when you watch the video, you can it will be more easy for you to understand. So I have taken your attendance. Okay, so now this is for the Wayne shear test. Now how to plot the Mohr circle? Very easy. Okay, guys. So for example, as you know that, let me open the data sheet as well. So for example, after doing all the calculations for the unconfined compression test, so at the end you obtain the undrained cohesion value. Let's say the undrained cohesion value obtained was 88.96. Let's say 88, or to be more precise, 90 kilopascal for better understanding. So after doing all the calculations, you obtain 90 kilopascal as the undrained cohesion. So what you are going to do, simple. Cu value is 90 kilopascal, as I told you. Okay, guys. So what else you can do over here is that we are going to use sine and cosine rule in order to obtain the in order to plot the Mohr circle. So first, in the first column, write degrees. So as you know that it will be 180 degree circle. So start with 0 and with 5 increments, go up to 180. Okay. Then you need to convert the degrees to radians. So how you are going to convert it to radians? Write equals to radians. So the Excel have this equation and input the angle value and simply drag it down to the last value. Now, first of all, you need to obtain what is sine value and then cosine value. So in this case, an important point over here is that, as I told you, that only the vertical stresses are given. So what you can do, you can say this is sigma 3. And so sigma 3 is equals to 90. And the radius of the circle is also 9. Okay, so this is R value and the sigma 3. So sigma 3, as I told you, that in unconfined compression test, only the vertical stresses are applied, not x-axis. So in this case, what you can do, so for example, over here, now how to obtain the sine value? Simple, that you need to write equals to then the angle in radians multiply by the R value, the radius of the circle. It should be 0, and fix the R value by placing the dollar sign. So this is the sine value. So now simply for the cosine value, what you are going to do is that equals to cosine of angle, which is in radians, multiply by the R value, which is the radius of the circle, and place the brackets and close the bracket, plus sigma 3 value, which is Cu again, and enter. So, and drag it down to the last, sorry, I need to fix it. So fix R and sigma 3 value, which is by placing the dollar sign, and click OK, and that's it. Is it okay, guys? As I told you, this is one of the calculations, so yes. So now how to plot the Mohr circle? So what you can do basically is that you need to go to the scatter and plot it over there. Simple as that. So let me show you, in fact. Go to insert. So this time do not use this scatter. Use the scatter with smooth lines. Okay. Right click, select data. So let's say this is sample number 1. X-axis is the sine by x, and click OK. So you see, this is your Mohr circle. So as you know that you need to determine the, you have to show that how you obtain the C value. So it means that the radius of the top value at this point is the highest, which is 90. So it is equivalent to your 90 degrees. Okay, so for example, maybe the circle is given to you and you need to obtain the CU value. So this is how you obtain the CU value. Is it okay, guys? And the total distance should be 180, as you know that. multiply your CU value by 2, which is 180, and this is the 180 point. If you go there, it will show you the maximum point is 120/80, as you can see at the top. Okay, guys. So the top value should be twice of the CU value, and the sign should be 0. This is an indication. Okay, guys. So I think if you when you are going to watch the video, you will understand it much better. So I am going to assign you the quiz now. So there will be 2 quizzes, as I have told you. So do not leave the meeting until I say so. Okay. So let me assign the quiz. So once it is assigned, I'm going to tell you now.
Sir, is the quizzes combined or each one alone?
It is separate quizzes. First 10 minutes will be for direct share box test. Then I'm going to assign you the second quiz for next 10 minutes. Okay.
So do we have to sign any attendance or something?
I took your attendance.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, guys, I am assigning the quiz, so please check the notification. Yes, guys, the quiz is assigned. Please check it.
0, 0.
Yes, guys, can you see the quiz?
Yes, sir. It says lab 6.
Yes, yes. So please start it. You have 10 minutes and solve it.